Hello, everyone. Welcome to a new episode. We're working on Unit 6, Lessons 3 and 4. Our topic is still important places. Let's get started with our objectives. We will ask and answer questions about experiences. We will use adjectives to describe experiences or even places. We will listen to a conversation between Tariq's father and some tourists. We will ask for and express clarification and understanding. We will read about museums in Egypt and answer questions. We will use critical thinking skills to discuss the importance of museums. So, I would like you to match the following pictures to the questions and then ask and answer. So, number 1, have you ever been fishing? I want you to look at the 4 pictures here and choose one of them to match it along. Number 2, have you ever dived in the sea? Find the picture that talks about diving in the sea and write the letter down. Number 3, have you ever been camping, where you get to put up a tent, maybe roast some marshmallows, maybe have a barbecue, and match the camping question to the picture. Number 4, have you ever seen a famous building? And I want you to find the famous building in the images and write it down, or write the letter down for the image for number 4. Now, let's check together. 1A, 2C, 3B, and 4D. I want you to look at the images in the bottom of the slide, and I would like you to describe the experience using your own adjectives, or you can use the adjectives in the word box. Now, if we talk about fishing, would you describe it as a quiet experience or a fun experience? What about diving in the sea? Do you think maybe this is an interesting kind of experience? You can use your own words. You can even use the word colorful, enticing, exciting, intriguing. You can use your own adjectives to describe the experience. Now let's jump to number 3. Have you ever been camping? Now, how would we describe a camping experience? Some might call it beautiful, some might call it quiet. Think of your own adjectives and write them down. Number 4. Have you ever seen a famous building? Now, if we see a famous building such as the pyramids or Cairo Tower, how would you describe it? Would you describe it as a historical place? Maybe. Now we will go to the listening section. We're going to listen to Tariq and his father, who have met some tourists in Cairo, and we will answer the question of, does the English boy want to stay in a hotel, yes or no? So as you listen, pay attention to what the English boy wants to do. Let's get started.
Hello, welcome to Egypt. Are you having a good time here? Yes, we love your beautiful country. We all want to do different things, so we don't know what to do next. What would you like to do? Well, we want to see some famous buildings. We're going to visit Luxor next week. Well, if you go to Luxor, visit the Temple of Karnak. It's very interesting. My son wants to sail. You can sail around Elephantine Island. Sorry, could you say that again, please? Elephantine Island. It's near Aswan. It's very beautiful and quiet. Great! Is it a good place? Fish? Do you mean you want to go fishing? That's right, I like fishing. Elephantine Island is a popular place for people who like fishing. Have you thought about going to the desert? What do you mean? Well, you can go to the White Desert. It's very exciting. The best place to visit is Farafra. It's a place in the White Desert. I see. I'll write that down. I don't want to stay in a hotel. I want to be outside under the stars. You want to go camping, is that what you mean? That's right, I love camping. I've been camping there, it's great. Why don't you join us for some tea?
Okay, so now I would like you to answer the question. Does the English boy want to stay in a hotel? Yes or no? And the answer is no, he does not. He wants to be outside under the stars. So it is obvious that the English boy enjoys nature. Now I would like you to rewind and listen to the audio one more time and then take the activities that the tourists want to do. Let's check together. The tourists want to go camping, fishing, and sightseeing. Now, I want you to make suggestions about places to visit, ask for and express clarification. So if you're asking a question and you need a clarification, there are certain things to use in the function box. Let's look at the example in the bubbles, on the speech bubbles on the right-hand side first. Why don't you sail on the Nile on a felucca? Sorry, can you repeat that, please? So over here, the girl on the left-hand side used an expression that the girl on the right-hand side does not know, which is a felucca. So she asked for clarification by saying, sorry, can you repeat that, please? So if you ask for clarification, you can say, sorry, could you say that again, please? Or you can paraphrase or say what you think they mean in your own words. Do you mean you want to? And then say whatever they said. Or you can say, what do you mean? Or sorry, can you repeat that, please? Or you can say, is that what you mean? Now, when you express clarification and understanding, you can say, that's right, or I see, or I understand, or even I agree. Now we're going to jump to lesson 4, unit 6. Guys, you're doing a great job. Let's keep going. Now, museums. We're going to be reading about museums. Egypt has some very interesting museums. Many people have visited the famous Egyptian Museum in Cairo. It's Egypt's biggest museum and it contains some very famous objects. There are about 136,000 historical objects in the museum. Most people want to see the Tutankhamun and his jewelry. In the Kharja Museum of Antiques, you can learn about life in the Western Desert long ago. You can see lots of statues, coins, and other objects that people have found there. The museum contains some famous notebooks made of wood. There are some of the first books ever written from 360 CE. When engineers started building the first Aswan Dam in 1902, many important objects from very old Nubian buildings were moved to keep them safe. The Nubia Museum in Aswan opened in 1998. It contains more than 5,000 of these objects, which can teach us a lot about the history and life of the Nubian people. This is an outdoor museum, too, where you can look at statues in beautiful gardens. Now, I want you to look at all the words in red. The first one is jewelry, second one is antiques, third is statues, and fourth is coins, and last but not least, the fifth one is outdoor. So, if we talk about jewelry, people in ancient Egypt, specifically women, along with men, enjoyed wearing jewelry such as necklaces, maybe even anklets, sometimes bracelets. And having antiques is anything that is really old but is saved for a long, long time to be resold in the future or to be placed in museums. Now, a lot of people find and love to watch statues of ancient Egyptians in the Egyptian Museum. Now, what about the word coins? I'm sure you know what a coin is, but we can also use coins for usage as money, for exchange for anything we need. And the last word is outdoor. Outdoor is any place that is outside a closed area. Now let's look at the questions. Which of the words in red in the text means the following? Number 1, things made of expensive stone, gold, etc. that people wear. So jewelry can be made of gold or even stone or anything expensive. Number 2, small pieces of metal used as money, that is of course gold coins or metal coins. Number 3, stone or metal objects that have been made to look like a person or animal, and that is of course the statues. Number 4, a building or object made in ancient times, that is antiques. And the last one is outside a place or a building is of course an outdoor area or outdoor. Now I want you to answer the questions. We'll start with number 1. Which has more historical objects, the Egyptian Museum or the Nubia Museum? Of course, the Egyptian Museum has more historical objects than the Nubia Museum because it's larger, it's filled with historical Egyptian objects. Number 2, what are the most popular objects to see in the Egyptian Museum? So if you go to the Egyptian Museum, what is the thing that you really have to look at because it's very popular? That is, of course, the Tutankhamun and his jewelry are very, very popular to watch at the Egyptian Museum. What kind of objects are in the Kharja Museum of Antiques? Of course, if you go there, you will find statues, coins, notebooks made of wood, and some of the first ever created books. Now, number 4, what can you see in the gardens of the Nubia Museum? You can see statues in the gardens. You can find statues in the gardens of the Nubia Museum. Now, we're going to jump to the critical thinking section. I want to remind you that any critical thinking question can have multiple or many answers. So it is okay if your answer differs from your friend's answer or differs from your teacher's answer. As long as you use your mind and you think about it, you're good to go. Let's get started with our critical thinking questions. Why are museums important? From your point of view, I want you to write down in your notebook, why do you think a museum is important? What happens when you go there and you look at all the amazing things that have been saved from the past? What do we learn from people in the past? Think about it and write your answers down. Number 2, should we put only old things in a museum? You agree, yes or no, and why? Think about it and write your answers. What kind of things should be in a museum? So if I have a museum in Egypt here, what kind of things should I put in it? Think about it and write your answers down. Number 4, should people pay to go into a museum? Yes or no, and why do you think they should or shouldn't pay? Now, we have some suggested answers here. So number 1, why are museums important? They teach us about many things. So when I go to a museum, I learn about the history of my country and I gain more knowledge and experience. Number 2, should we put only old things in a museum? You can say yes or no as long as you have a reason. So I suggest the answer of no. New things can also teach us, so we can also show these. So we don't have to put old things only. We can put new things because they will teach us and they will help us. What kind of things should be in a museum? It's up to you to decide, but it can be anything that is of interest to people or can teach people something. And number 4, should people pay to go into a museum? You can say yes because it costs money to have a museum, or you can say no because all people should be able to visit the museum. It's up to you to decide. This is your personal opinion. I would love to read it in the comments. Now, this is a wrap, guys. We have asked and answered questions about experiences. We used adjectives to describe experiences or places. We listened to a conversation between Tariq's father and some tourists. We asked for and expressed clarification and understanding. We read about museums in Egypt and answered questions. We used critical thinking skills to discuss the importance of museums. Guys, that's a wrap for today. You did a great job. Thank you very much. Goodbye.